Сейчас начнем наш небольшой пресс-брифинг и потом продолжим дальше. Насилие по отношению к секс-работникам случается со стороны государственных органов в виде не бездействия или же какого-то контроля. Часто секс-работники в Украине сталкиваются с тем, что именно со стороны государства не рассматриваются преступления, которые совершаются в отношении секс-работников, со стороны преступников, со стороны тех же, часто мы сталкиваемся со стороны превышения полномочий со стороны полиции или же бездействия со стороны полиции, когда мы пытаемся прийти в полицию, опять же, обратиться за помощью, и нам звучат следующие такие слова, что мы сами виноваты в том, что стали потерпевшими. Не занимаетесь данной работой, и вас никто не будет насиловать, грабить, избивать или унижать. И я сейчас передам слово нашим международным друзьям, подругам, которые со стороны опыта своих стран скажут, что в их странах, в их моделях регулирования секс-работы совершается в отношении секс-работников. Мириам, готова?
Yes. So, I'm going to start. My name is Christine. I come from Austria, and I have also a focus on Germany, because now I live on the border and I live in Germany, and I was working as a sex worker in Germany, not in my country, in Austria. This was before Austria was in the EU, so I had to marry a German man to work legal in Germany, and this was the first violation against my human rights. Why do I have to marry somebody to have legal status as a sex worker in Germany? So this is a long time ago, this is 25 years ago. Later on, I went home to Austria again with a lot of experience, with a little money. Money went away, experience stayed. And all of a sudden, something happened to a sex worker. She, in Salzburg, in my hometown, she gave birth to a baby in a problem, and the baby had been killed by being kicked out by a window. The thing was, so I decided to study social work, because we didn't have any NGO to support sex workers or human rights, and so very naive, I started to study. Very naive, I got a job in magistrat. So since 15 years, I'm a social worker with sex work experience. What is very interesting, because I'm the only one in Austria. We are a small country, but we have 9 parts of our country. Nobody of our social workers has this experience. And also, I have the experience being migrants in another country, and how the police or how the government will treat you in a situation like this. So in my country it's like this. We have a mandatory health check and registration. That means Austria is the only country in Europe who has this mandatory health check. This health check has nothing to do with support or a a normal test at the doctor's, it takes only 40 seconds or almost 1 minute and you be out. It's just a little control, and they take your blood, and even if you have something, or even if you need medicine or something, they will not tell you you have to go to a doctor. You will get a book, it's like a passport, and with this book you are allowed to work legal in Austria, but you are not allowed to work alone. You have to find a brothel owner, and the brothel owners in Austria, they are supported by the magistrat or by the government or by the policeman, by the police. It's the only place where you can work legally. A lot of sex workers, especially if they are Austrian or German, they don't want to be registered because this system can cause a lot of problems in your life on later on. For instance, if you're a student, if you want to be a teacher, or if you, it might cause problems if you have children, and so a lot of them are afraid to be registered. And for instance, sex work in the streets in Austria is not allowed. In most of the places, only a small place in Vienna, there is it allowed. And I had contact to sex workers who were victims of rape or victims of somebody crazy kicking out them from the car. And the first thing that they said, even when they were bleeding, even if they had a lot of pain, please, 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 no doctor, please, 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 no police. And the thing is, our police, they want to have the visible sex workers, they want to have a way. The police is working against the sex workers on the street, and when there are sex workers on the street, they will hunt them, and they will have a lot of money to pay, and even also they will hunt the clients. So when you be trapped by a policeman, you will be deported very soon. And our police always says all the sex workers on the streets, they are victims of human trafficking. Even in one season, it's around about 3 months, 19 women were deported. They came from Hungary, they came from Romania, or they came from Bulgaria. And the police said, all of them, they were victims of human trafficking. And I was on a panel of very necessary politics, and I asked them if all of them were victims of human trafficking, what about the perpetrators? Did you deport them? And you can imagine what the police said. We didn't find any perpetrator. And I asked them why. Yeah, the thing is, the women, they don't talk to us. So if you are hunting victims, you can't help anybody. And the only position, I think, is to decriminalize sex work. And so I hope we all can find a way to give this information to the people who are responsible for this. Thank you.
Thank you. My name is Kate McGrew. I am a sex worker. I'm co-convener of the International Committee on the Rights of Sex Workers of Europe, and I'm the coordinator of Sex Workers Alliance Ireland. So in Ireland, they passed the so-called Swedish model 3 years ago, we know, contrary to what they say about the Swedish model, it's not a model of decriminalization everywhere. It has been a model of more criminalization. So in Ireland, what that looked like is they criminalized the purchase of sex, of course, and they increased penalties and increased potential jail time for people working together. So it was already illegal to work with a friend, even if it's just two people working out of an apartment. They call that a brothel. That was already illegal, and now working in this way, you can receive twice as much in fines and twice as much in a jail sentence. When they passed this law, SWAY, we worked to get amendments put into the legislation. We, of course, lobbied as much as we could to let people understand how this was going to be dangerous for us, as it has been all over where they try this model. But of course, sex workers, speaking from our own experience, is so rare. We don't control the narrative, and there's not a lot of political support for it. And part of that is because we know that this law really gets passed as a tool of anti-immigration. So what we did manage to amend towards the law was we asked for a review of the law. That's coming up this year. So they'll be reviewing what the law's impact has been. We also were able to decriminalize outdoor workers. That felt like a success at the time, but now we're not so sure. So to be clear, it was illegal to work outside, and we made it legal. It seems as though they agreed to pass that law because they knew they could just arrest outdoor workers overwhelmingly on drugs charges. So it remains legal to work indoors and alone, and now it's legal to work outdoors and alone. But overwhelmingly, what we've seen is more of these so-called brothel raids. Violence has escalated, in fact, by 92%. Now in Ireland, violent crime specifically escalated. And this is at the same time that on this reporting site, it's where people report bad clients, where we see this 92% increase. There was also a near 20% decrease in the amount of people who wanted their reports passed on to police. Of course, that's because if you're working, even if you're working alone, and if we are robbed at work, for example, we're weighing up in our head, do I want to contact the police? What will they do for me? Will they then know I'm a sex worker and they want to come to my house and wait outside all day tomorrow and prevent me from making any money? So this is what people are thinking of. Even if we're working technically legally, we're criminalized by proxy. Of course, if you work in pairs or groups, we are weighing up, well, if I am robbed or attacked at work, do I want to contact police? What will they do for me? Will they arrest me for working with a friend? Which they very well could and do. Am I speaking slowly enough? Okay, for the translator? Okay. So what we have seen is not surprising. It's racially targeted brothel raids. It's the same as it always was, but it's more so now. It got a lot of press recently because there were two Romanian women who were arrested for working together, just the two of them. Now, they say this brothel keeping law is meant to prevent pimps and traffickers, but we see from statistics that 96% of people arrested under this law in the past 5 years have been workers themselves, not anybody controlling work in any way or profiting. These two Romanian women were arrested. No pimp, so-called, no boss, no client, nothing. Just the two of them, and they were very young, 20 and 25. One of them was pregnant, and they were both sentenced to 9-month jail sentences. So, of course, people in the media were saying this isn't what we meant by the law, but of course it is what they meant by the law. It's very clear that the strategy in Ireland is to make the industry as dangerous as possible in the hopes that it will be less appealing for people to engage in work. Of course, we know people are engaging in work because they need money. So that hasn't changed at all. The two women, incidentally, their charges got reduced to be told they won't go to jail, however they cannot set foot in Ireland for the next 7 years. So the message is really clear. Something that we're seeing too, there is a real crackdown now, particularly because we're moving towards the review, and it's clear that the anti-prostitution organizations that do outreach, they are working in coordination with police to ramp up these raids to make it look like the law is working. So they've started investigating dozens and dozens of clients coming out of workspaces, and of course doing more and more brothel raids. Attacks as they do also this time of year, they increased. What we're starting to hear now is after people have been attacked, they're receiving calls from other people saying, we'll help you if you need protection. So again, it's something that we knew was going to happen, that more and more workers are unwilling to report the violence that we face, and now also who is stepping in to say, okay, I'll help you, are third parties or pimps. So let me tell you a few more things. So we were able to have some success. We were the first point of contact for 3 women who were raped by a man, and he shockingly was sentenced and now is in jail for the next 20 years. So that's actually really incredible. But again, when we see steps forward like this, what we also recognize is that a lot of it is police making an effort in one particular way to make it look like they're doing good things whilst they continue to disperse us and continue to interact with us in antagonistic ways. Even on the street where workers have been decriminalized, there's a very heavy-handed approach. So where there are 5 women working, there will be 5 cars and vans of policemen, upwards of 25, telling them to leave, they're not making any money tonight, just go home, and lying to them and telling them that work is illegal. We even had a worker who very bravely went to the ombudsman, so it's the reporting mechanism when the police have misbehaved. She was at a place that was raided a brothel that was raided, and one of the police officers came back later and raped her. She went to the ombudsman and reported it, which was extremely brave. The ombudsman are the people that are supposed to keep the police in line, and he was found not guilty. It was found to have been consensual, and so we see that people just overwhelmingly don't understand the power dynamic, the inevitable power dynamic between police and workers. Am I going over? Let me see. Let me see if there's like. Have I spoken too long? So yeah, just to say, you know, of course, there's also the thing that now that there is so much news about sex work in Ireland, more than anything, sex workers feel like it has drawn attention to them in a negative way. That no matter what people say in the news about prostitution, it kind of makes people go, oh, I don't mind if I do. And also just, it shines a spotlight on our vulnerability and on our increased need to hide. So if we work legally, this means alone. Perpetrators realize we are alone and therefore vulnerable. If we're working together, they not only realize there's more money in that place that I can rob, but these people are not going to report because they could be arrested for brothel keeping. So it's been a shit show. Pardon my language.
Thank you. Hello, my name is Miriam. I'm the chairman from Proud, the Dutch sex worker organization of the Netherlands. And I'm also a sex worker, and I'm still doing sex work next to my profession as chairman and all my other professions more. Sex work in the Netherlands is legalized, and since 2000 it is the Netherlands was the first country that brought up the brothel. It was the first country that says, okay, we break up the laws and we are going to legalize sex work. In fact, we were thinking, yes, this is the beginning, because sex workers are going to have rights, we are going to have more access and more possibilities. In fact, we found that when sex work is legalized but not decriminalized, we don't have we are not having the access like how we want. For example, when you are, for example, you cannot do sex work in the Netherlands if you make some commercials. If you are advertising as a sex worker, it's not allowed. So you can do sex work, but not advertise. So how can you get your clients? If you are working behind a window, that is allowed, but then you have to register at the Chamber of Commerce as a sex worker, or sort of definition where everybody almost knows that you are a sex worker. Okay, so what we see is that during the years, this is not what we expected from the legalization of sex workers. Because, for example, we don't have the access to a business account. Still, there are banks who are refusing you as a sex worker. Discriminalization is necessary for prostitutes to work and live safely and healthy. The distinction between discrimination and legalization is strikingly here. Decriminalization, that sex workers don't have to break, means that sex workers don't have to break the law. And what we see in legislation, as in the Netherlands, means that a government makes specific law that regulates sex work, which is not always the best for the sex workers. At this moment, what is happening now, there's going to be another law in the future. Because of the Christian Union, they want a law where all sex workers are registered. So we are already registered by the Chamber of Commerce, but now they want an extra registration. They want all the sex workers to have a license. That means if you don't have a license, you cannot work. And that means also that you can get a fine from more than 20,000 euro. Even your client that is coming to visit you, and he is not aware that you don't have a license, he also can get the fine. So next to the legalization, next to the next to the registration, I'm there, sorry, just easier. Next to the registration, they also want to give you a number, and your client have to find out through the number if you are registered. So, where is the registration going to happen? The registration is going to happen by the municipality, and for sure, if you're coming into that building, of course, everybody is going to know that you're a prostitute. So we are fighting against this law. Last Sunday was the last time that we can make protest against it, and now it's going to the court, and then we will see how it is going to work out. But we are not going to give up. So you see, as a country where you think that sex work is legalized and you can do sex work, as we say, as a normal job, it's still not the way. It has to be decriminalized, because we know that if it is decriminalized, we can, our work can be seen like any other job. We have the access to health, we have the access to other things that all the normal between can have access to also. So, and also in 2017, as you can see, I put some papers on the chairs. In 2017, Proud, in combination with SOA-AIDS Netherlands, we did a research, and we saw that even that Holland is a legalized country where you can do sex work, we see that we faces a lot of violence in every kind of way. So that is the research we also present to the government, and that is what they also aware of. So we hope that the best that it works out, that they stop with this stupid decision to register sex workers again.
Ну и хотелось, спасибо вам огромное. Хотелось подвести итоги о том, что когда мы говорим о декриминализации секс-работы, это о том, чтобы самих секс-работников перестали считать преступниками. Мы не преступники. Мы люди, как и все остальные, хотим, к сожалению, в капитализме, да, работать и зарабатывать деньги. К сожалению, без денег мы не можем жить вообще нигде в этом мире. К сожалению, некоторые считают, что хотелось акцентировать на том, что права человека, они неделимы. И нельзя секс-работнику дать немного прав, а не секс-работнику больше прав. Мы все люди. Если мы хотим работать, дайте нам это право. Обеспечьте нам право на безопасность, на то, чтобы преступления по отношению к нам расследовались. Нам не нужны отдельные реестры, чтобы нас, как в, не знаю, там в Германии, да, вот эти номерки и наколки делали, да, всех штамповали, чтобы все знали, кто. Потому что это лишний раз нас, людей, между нами, людьми, происходит какая-то граница. Нас ограничивают в отдельную группу, выкидывают из общества. Мы хотим быть одним целым обществом. Мы хотим как помогать, чтобы не было преступлений, связанных с эксплуатацией. Мы хотим, как и все люди, иметь доступ к здравоохранению без каких-то обязательств или же дополнительных регулирований. Да? Мы, как и все люди, не должны проходить, когда хочешь работать, проходить обследование. Почему только мы? Давайте тогда все люди просто поднимем обизнаность, да? Поднимем осведомленность о том, что твое здоровье – это твоя собственность, и ты сам за него должен отвечать, а не тот, что кто-то тебя чем-то, возможно, заразит, поставит в опасность заражения. Мы все люди, мы все ходим в этом мире. Мы хотим работать, мы хотим жить, мы хотим оставаться со своими семьями. Мы хотим не бояться, что если я буду заниматься секс-работой, у меня заберут ребенка, потому что посчитают, что я жертва, и я не могу осознанно принимать этот выбор. Что я хочу объединяться вместе с моими подругами, с друзьями, и вместе работать, потому что мы все люди, и мы имеем свойство общаться, нам нужно общение. И иногда в нашей сфере, как и в любой другой сфере, необходимо для менеджмента те же менеджера в бизнесе, те же для безопасности, охрана, те же рекламные услуги. Это в любом бизнесе возможно. Почему только в секс-работе это пытаются ограничить? И опять же, давайте смотреть на людей, на их право выбора и давать им все-таки право принимать решения. Спасибо вам большое.
Спасибо.
Один вопрос, и у нас просто следующая панель. На русском и на украинском.
У меня вопрос. Вот 3 страны легализована, но проституция, да? Налоги вы, так как вы легализировали, вы платите какие-то налоги? И какая ставка, как ее приравнивать? Просто я знаю, в Австралии, когда искали тоже, кому приравнять секс-работниц, долго искали там в каком-то министерстве и приравняли их, как бы, те, которые работают руками, какие-то плетут корзины, они налоги, соответственно, с этим и платят. Но у них за это есть какая-то тоже социальная защита, пенсия, там, доступ к медицинским услугам, как вот в этих странах.
In the Netherlands, we are only allowed to pay the tax, but we don't have any other possibilities. We pay the tax, and as some other professions where you are working for yourself, for example, you have working clothes, you can withdraw them from your tax, but the only thing we can withdraw from our work is the lubricant, the lubricant. I don't know what is the English word. What you use with receipt.
To claim it? Yeah, to claim it. Yeah.
No, when you the oil.
Oh, the lube. Lubricant.
The lubricant, sorry. The lubricant and the oil, that's the only, and the condoms you can reuse, but that is the only thing. And the rate is the same like all the, from like the normal rate from everyone, 21% taxes.
Но это как и все. Это чем-то отличает от других работников налог, размер налога. Он равен со всеми другими работниками. Спасибо. Ну, на самом деле мы в Украине в прошлом году сами секс-работники провели исследование, опрашивая как самих секс-работников, так и экспертов, так и общее население по поводу, готовы ли секс-работники платить налоги. Да, мы готовы платить налоги, но только не надо нас выделять в отдельную какую-то группу. Как и все равные, да, если ФОП это определенные налогообложения, если это наемный работник, это другая форма взаимоотношений и это другое отчисление. Но мы, как и все, хотим в равной степени выбирать. Мы хотим социальные гарантии, как и все другие люди. Как и все другие люди, мы хотим иметь право, как в некоторых странах, если ты хочешь уйти из проституции, ты должен получить образование за собственные деньги. А если ты не в секс-индустрии, то тебе государство оплачивает переобразование. Почему такое вот отношение именно к секс-работникам? Мы хотим быть равны со всеми. Права человека, они равны для всех. Нельзя делить кому-то больше, кому-то меньше, а кто-то и так обойдется. Спасибо большое.
Спасибо.
Я сейчас...
Все же ответить. One answer for Texas. Okay. In Austria, it was that the brothel owner had to take the money for the sex workers for taxes. He took it and he gave it to the office, Finanzamt. And we found out that the brothel owners, for instance, if there were working 20 women, he only gave 10 women the money from 10 women to the magistrat, and it was one thing more to criminalize sex workers. And we changed this law, but how it is now in Austria, it's still very unsatisfying, and I could sit here till Christmas, not the Catholic Christmas, to the Orthodox Christmas, and tell you about the thing. To take money from sex workers without doing nothing, it's pimping, sorry. And our state does it.
Same in Ireland.
Sorry.
На самом деле, будь то каким бы образом не подходить к взаимоотношениям в плане труда, в любой сфере, давайте посмотрим на любую сферу, которая есть, например, в Украине. В любой сфере есть риск того, что работодатель не будет оформлять своего работника или же укрывать лишних работников. Но государство обеспечило возможность законами, когда приходят проверки, может работник, которого не оформили или не начислили социальные какие-то гарантии, он имеет возможность пойти и отстоять свое право трудящегося. В секс-работе это невозможно. Мы мало того, что со стороны государства считаемся преступниками, в некоторых случаях жертвами, но никак не трудящимися. Поэтому мы и говорим, что секс-работа – это работа. Хорошая, плохая, любая работа, она по сути плохая. Я бы тоже, мы бы все не работали, если бы нам не нужны были деньги. Правильно? Мы просто бы друг с другом жили как-то возможно, но это уже сложно представить, жизнь без денег. Но тем не менее, именно нашу работу, нас как трудящихся, нам не обеспечено право трудящихся. Мы не можем на своего работодателя, когда вот если говорим там бордели или еще остальное, мы не можем пойти в ту же орган труда, в соцобеспечение, в ту же полицию, если к нам пристают те же работодатели, сексуально домогаются, где в той же Новой Зеландии секс-работник через суд получил компенсацию за сексуальные домогательства со стороны менеджера борделя, потому что там декриминализировано. Она не боялась осуждения общества, что она придет в полицию и заявит, что я секс-работник, ко мне сексуально домогался мой менеджер. А у нас, ты придешь в полицию, что ты услышишь? Иди отсюда.
Сама виновата.
Когда мы сейчас проводим для полиции тренинги, и полицейские говорят, мы с преступниками общаемся как с преступниками, а нас они расценивают как преступников. Поэтому у них права вот именно и разделяются. Кому-то больше, а кому-то меньше. Или же тебя изнасиловали. Как проститутку можно изнасиловать? Поэтому мы и говорим, признайте секс-работу работой. Не надо ее восхвалять, ее преподносить. Просто признайте нас как трудящихся, обеспечьте нас всеми теми же равными гарантиями и правами, как и остальных людей в странах. Спасибо.
Спасибо.